I left the walls drenched in the sweat and blood of the tenacious Norman besiegers. My comrades and I usually would rush straight to the inn after a fight, but not today. My father, the heroic Michael Nauticus, savior of Bari, awaited me. I found the wizened old man staring out the window towards the enemy camp. Foul, treacherous mercenary scum. Son, the inhabitants of this peninsula have courted mercenaries for centuries. Not one bit of good it did them. Weary of discussing Normans whose nature I knew all too well, I inquired about our rich family heritage. I asked my father instead to tell me of our ancestor Panos. My father spun round, his eyes gleaming. You wish to hear the story of the family? Our Greek blood runs back generations. Nauticus, our surname. It is so because we came as sailors. In the year 869, the night Panos Nauticus answered the summons of his Byzantine liege, Emperor Basil II. He was to lead a force by sea to aid our ally Louis II, the Frankish king against the Emirate of Bari.
Panos Nauticus. My forces will keep the Saracens defending Bari occupied. But you and your Byzantines must ensure that the enemy cannot threaten us from the rear.
Ein, Sane, Impero.
Salve. Ein. Sane.
Our scouts have located the enemy positions.
Quando.
If we catch them unprepared, our swift victory will be certain.
Ein, Ago. Prest. Ein, Sane. Ein.
Correctus. Podio.
Impero. Ago. Ein, Sane. Prest. Ein.
Caedo.
Prest. Sane. Ein.
Presto. Impero. Salve.
Impero.
Podio. Sane. Cae.
Commander, does God kindle this fire in our hearts, or does the fatal desire of each man become divine through him? My mind has long urged me to charge into
Impero.
battle.
Caedo. Ein.
Our warships will send any vessels that approach our harbor to the bottom of the sea.
Ein.
Greek fools! You were lucky enough to destroy one of our camps. But our swift horsemen will soon ride you down into the dust!
Ein. Sane.
Correctus.
We hold Oria with an iron fist. If the Lombards fail to wrest it from us, how will you ever succeed?
The Emir's galleys may as well have been piles of tinder. Our Dromans siphoned enough Greek fire to keep the harbor in Bari aflame for days. The posts of the infidel guards were empty. In their gratitude, the nobles of Oria have thrown their support behind us.
Matera is ours, Byzantines! Turn back now, or be hurled from its battlements!
The patricians in Matera come to me begging for mercy. Their tribute alone will be enough to pay my knights for months. By God, you Byzantines are efficient. The Saracen cavalry flee your spears like rats from prowling cats.
Fortune smiles upon us. Our sappers have undermined the city walls and opened a breach.
Bari cannot withstand us now. Fell deeds and eternal glory await us. In the name of God, attack!
Panos was offered lordship of Bari after his victory, but he declined, wishing to live out his days in peace. Having brought glory to his house, he settled down and started a family. The old man mused for a while, his memory slowed by wine. Louis, on the other hand, ran into trouble with the Lombards. They were not fond of yet another Frankish conqueror treading on their soil. Suddenly, a bell rang, signaling an attack and calling the city to arms. I donned my armor and rushed out the door, leaving my father to his thoughts. I walked downstairs the next morning in a daze. The battle of the previous night was fresh in my mind, and it chilled my blood. I whirled around and found myself staring straight into my father's eyes. Nothing shakes the ghost of battle like a fine story, son. Come sit down to a meal and I shall tell you of the Rebellion of Melus. The sun shone onto my father's gaunt face. He had a head of thick grey hair, and his limbs remained strong from years as a sailor and a soldier. I have donned mail since the year 1005, when I was but a lad in the service of Melus, the highest-ranking nobleman in the city. Ambitious and eager to prove myself, I soon became his best man. Melus was passionate, but his withdrawn, stealthy manner began to stir my distrust. When he invited all manner of mercenary troops into our beautiful city, I began to fear the worst.
Captain Nauticus, Melus's mercenaries have seized the city and slain the garrison. We should flee west to our allies and prepare a counterattack.
Bari is mine now. Kill all of the Byzantine scum.
Sane. Ago. Ein. Ago. Ein. Sane. Ein.
Send out scouting parties and find Mikhail Nauticus.
Sane.
I want him alive.
Ein. Ago. Ein. Ago. Ein. Impera. Sane. Ein. Sane. Sane. Ein. Presto. Ago. Ein. Sane. Ein. Ago. Sane.
Our ally Pandulf in Capua has pledged his holdings to us.
Pabulo.
Now we can take the fight to Melus.
You think that your allies will keep you safe? My men will fall on you like lions on sheep.
Sane.
Captain, refugees flee to us from Potenza, lamenting the fall of their town to Melus's mercenaries. We must reclaim it, and swiftly, lest we be surrounded by foes on all sides.
Condo.
Ago. Comita. Impera. Ein. Porro.
Salvetus.
Ein. Sane. Ein. Salve. Sane. Corretto. Ein. Pugno. Presto. Ein. Corretto. Corretto. Ago. Sane. Ein. Sane. Ago. Sane. Commita. Presto. Sane. Ein. Corretto.
Pero Pabus. Pabus. Ein. Sane.
Melus's mercenaries flee Potenza like rats. Their confidence renewed, the patricians in Potenza have called a levy to support our forces. The Byzantine general Basil Boioannes has landed in Apulia to help quell the rebellion. He sends legates to us with additional provisions and gold to fill our coffers.
Ein. Sane. Vai. Pugno. Presto. Pero. Porro. Res commita. Ein porro. Pugno. Commita. Presto.
You fool! You will never drive my mercenaries from Bari. Feel the wrath of my hardy Lombard warriors.
Bari is ours, Capitan. But Melus is nowhere to be found. A glorious victory, nevertheless.
My father stood up to tend the fire. 1011. It had been 2 years since I had stood in the courtyard of Melus's castle in Bari. With the rebel garrison defeated, Bari was once again in Byzantine hands. Unsurprisingly, the local Katapan, or Lord, asked me to remain at the head of the force that I had recruited. Most of Melus's family was captured and imprisoned, but Melus and his brother Datus were still at large in the countryside. The rebellion was far from over.